Joe Biden and Donald Trump are making final preparations for the biggest moment so far in the US election, the first of two high-stakes debates that could upend the race. The televised showdown later is set to raise the campaigning to boiling point then, with tens of millions expected to tune in. Trump has even said, I think I've been preparing for it for my whole life. We're going to talk now to Ketavan Gorgistani, our international affairs editor. Let's not forget as well, Ketavan was also, until a year ago, our Washington correspondent. Good to have you with us for your analysis, Ketavan. It's been billed, isn't it, as an historic debate. How do you think it could play out?
Well, it's going to be historic in many ways. Of course, the fact that it's a sitting president versus a former president is historic in its own right. It's also going to be the two oldest candidates in U.S. history. There's going to be one convicted felon on the stage. It's also the earliest presidential debate in U.S. history, more than 4 months before Election Day. And it's also the closest race heading into a first debate in the history of U.S. presidential politics. A very close race, neck and neck in national polls. Donald Trump with a very, very slight edge in some of those key states. But it's not just the context that's historic. It's also the sort of setting of the debate that's not going to be business as usual. It's not going to be organized by the Nonpartisan Commission as it has been since the late 80s. The rules of the game, if you will, were negotiated by CNN, the host, with the campaign team. So 90-minute debate, 2 commercial breaks during which the candidates will not be able to talk to their campaign teams. No audience, which is very important because Donald Trump, for example, really feeds off of what he gets as a reaction from the crowd. He's not going to get that this time around. The mics will be muted. The person who speaks is the only one who's allowed to speak. That's a way of trying to avoid the chaos that happened during the first debate back in 2020. No teleprompter for closing segments and no pre-written notes. No real-time fact-checking either by the moderators, and the themes, we don't know what those will be yet to see how they navigate this debate. But the real critical question is, of course, who's going to show up on stage? And that's true for both candidates. Will it be the fiery, energetic Joe Biden of the State of the Union speech, or will it be the older, tired Joe Biden? And for Donald Trump, will it be the sort of unhinged Donald Trump that we saw 4 years ago in the first debate? Or will it be a little bit more subdued, more presidential type of Donald Trump? And I think that's what the viewers are going to wait and see to find out.
It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? What about the strategies, do you think, that both men could employ?
Well, the strategies are already very different when it comes to how they're preparing. Joe Biden is going for the traditional prep. He's been staying at Camp David for the past week, working with his team on the answers, but also the stamina of standing on that stage for 90 minutes, holding mock debates, really going for the traditional prep, whereas Donald Trump has avoided the tradition. He is doing informal policy meeting. He's not doing mock debates. He prefers going and meeting people at rallies and stomping on the campaign trail. Donald Trump, however, according to his team, is going to try to focus on 3 main policy themes that the Republicans fear are the weakness of Joe Biden: the economy, crime, and immigration. And they're also going to try to show that Joe Biden is not fit for office. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he's going to try to counter a little bit on the economy because he knows that that is really the number one priority for voters, but also focus on 2 arguments that the Democrats did very well with at the midterms 2 years ago, which is abortion and the danger to a democracy. Joe Biden really will try to put Donald Trump in the light of he is the danger to American democracy. It's very key for Joe Biden because he cannot afford to slip up. Everybody is going to be looking to see, is he this old man that they've been describing, or is he fit to be president for 4 more years? And that is something that you've seen a little bit of a change of strategy in from Donald Trump and his team. For months, we've been hearing from the Republicans, Joe Biden is an old senile man who can't put 2 words together in a sentence. that is a pretty low bar to reach for Joe Biden at a debate. And so they realized that maybe they were setting themselves up for failure. And over the past couple of days or weeks, they've been saying, Joe Biden is a very experienced politician. Joe Biden is a very good debater, trying to raise the bar a little bit. Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, also suggested that maybe Joe Biden will be taking performance-enhancing drugs for that debate. But the idea is that it's going to be very important for both of these candidates to show that they are fit in very different ways, because Donald Trump, if he performs the way he did 4 years ago, that might also not play in his favor.
So finally, very difficult to ask this question before it's even happened, but how much of a difference could it actually make?
Well, usually you tend to think of these presidential debates as things that people want to watch, but that don't necessarily sway an election. And in the case of the United States, if you look at the past presidential debates, usually the gap between the two candidates heading into that first debate was more than 5 points on average. This time around, they are neck and neck. And so in this race, because it is so close and because any little movement in voters one way or the other could sway the entire election in a handful of states, that means that maybe this presidential debate is going to have a little bit more of an impact on the race. One thing is for sure, people want to watch, whether they want to watch it for the show or for the actual policy that is going to come out of it is a different story. But in the latest poll, 6 out of 10 American adults said they were very or extremely likely to watch this debate in some shape or form. Whether they're going to watch the whole 90 minutes is not sure. But of course, with social media, you have those little clips that are going to go viral. And that is a trick for both of these candidates. Is if you go viral for good reasons, it can help you. If you go viral for bad reasons, it might be a very big problem. 3 things to keep in mind. Looking for a potential counter-performance of either Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Also looking to convince maybe people who say, I'm not really going to vote. I don't want to choose. I'm going to sit it out. And finally, very important in this very close election, the double haters, those who don't like Donald Trump, don't like Joe Biden. This is a way of maybe showing them, you might not like me, but the other option is worse than me. And that might be the message that they're going to have to put out there.